Let's take a look at page 9, the idea of mainframes and batch processing. First of all, a definition. The kind of computer you see in the upper illustrations here is an experimental computer. It's one of the first machines, the ENIAC. It was built in an academic institution, and it was really an experiment to see if Alan Turing's theory of a machine that could be programmed to repeat instructions and thereby produce a useful calculation would actually work and could be implemented with vacuum tubes acting as switches. In this case, the vacuum tubes were used as switches to store the bits, and vacuum tube circuitry was used to interpret certain circuit settings to manipulate those bits in various ways. This was one of the first times that a computer could actually be constructed of electronic components and do some sizable calculations. And this machine was used a couple of years, even though the technology was, by today's standards, vastly inefficient, and it was very slow. Kind of an interesting thing, in 1997, at the 50th anniversary of the ENIAC, the people at the same School of Engineering in Pennsylvania got a project together to replicate the functionality of ENIAC in integrated circuitry. And everything that this 3,000 square foot machine with 18,000 vacuum tubes could do was burned into a small chip of silicon, one integrated circuit with the circuit element being only 1/4 of an inch on the side and not very thick. One little chip had more capacity than this entire machine, and it was a kind of unique project because it implemented the same instruction set and could run the same programs. Just to show you in 50 years the kind of progress that was made. Now the picture at the bottom is a mainframe computer. That is a large, centralized computer with several input-output devices. You see some tape drives here. In the background, there's also some printers. This also occupied a room. The floor in this room was hollow. It was actually a raised floor because under the floor are all sorts of cables connecting these cabinets of equipment. This kind of a computer had one processing unit, that is one central processing unit, the thinking part, and a whole lot of circuitry around it to store information. It had a tremendously greater capacity than ENIAC. It used much more circuit elements. It used a combination of transistors that were separate components and integrated circuits. It could process instructions a lot faster than the original ENIAC, but by today's standards, the machine at the bottom is also kind of primitive and slow. Although that machine at the bottom was a commercial success for IBM, and IBM became the predominant manufacturer of these very large computers, mainframe computers. They focused on that business, and others developed smaller machines, as we'll see in later generations documented on the next couple of pages.